Boom. There you go. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen.
Thank you, Alex, and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us online on this very wintry day here in Manitoba. As Alex noted, I'm the Director of Music Programs at Manitoba Film and Music. Been in the job for about 10 years. And I come from a music background. I was a touring musician for some 20 years before moving into this role and wore a few other hats as an artist manager and a grant writer. And I wrote a lot of grants to Manitoba Film Music back in the day and managed the West End Cultural Center for a brief time. Yeah, I love working here, and I think it's a great place to work. And I'm excited to support find ways to better support the Manitoba music industry. And I'll throw it to Bonnie, my colleague, to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm the music programs coordinator, Bonnie. I've been at MFM. I just had my 14-year anniversary on the weekend, so I've been there a very long time. um, I'm your contact when you're applying for grants and as you proceed through your project and following up with getting everything completed at the end. I'm not a musician. I've never been a musician except in high school, which doesn't count really. But I'm just a big music fan. Yeah, that's me.
Yep, Bonnie and I can be found at many, many shows throughout the year. Bonnie, I think, holds the stats for probably most local shows attended. Maybe you and Joey Senth are probably tied. You're neck and neck. Anyways, so we're going to go into the programs first. We're going to do a little overview of our funding programs, and then we're going to look at the new program in a little bit more detail, the Indigenous IMPACT one, for a couple minutes. And then the last half an hour, we're going to go through the portal, and we're going to ensure that everybody here understands how to submit an application, how to create applicant profiles, and some of the tips and tricks we have up our sleeve regarding using the portal effectively and working with collaborators. So if anybody has any questions, try and throw them in the chat, and then maybe Bonnie, just raise your hand if there's a chat while I'm talking, and I'll do the same for you. And if there's a question in the chat, and we'll try and address them as we go. And we'll try to save a bit of time at the end to answer even more specific questions that we may not be able to get to during the presentation. So that said, Manitoba Film and Music is your local neighborhood funding agency for the film and music industries here in Manitoba. Through the film side, we invest in the film industry through tax credits and equity investments in film production. On the music side, which is our purview, we invest in the music industry through grants and a sponsorship program. We were established in 1986 or so, and we have a suite of programs that have been designed, tweaked, and built over those decades to best suit the modern day music industry. We currently receive applications through our Smart Simple application portal, which can be found on our website. And Bonnie's going to drop in a few useful links right away into our chat. The applications used to be received in paper format, and we've done away with that. They used to be email, we've done away with that, and now we receive them all through the portal. And should you have any questions or issues as you're trying to navigate the portal or our programs, or you want us to look at your application in advance of it being officially submitted, Manitoba Film Music staff are there to assist you. You can reach out to us. We're going to put our emails in the chat too throughout the meeting today. Yeah, so great to have you all with us. So this is the list of programs. We have a brand new program called the Indigenous IMPACT program that just launched December 6th. This program is to support new and emerging Indigenous artists from Manitoba in all aspects of their career. We also have the Promote program, which is a marketing, content, and video program. We have the Perform program, which is to support touring. We have the Build program, which is business development, which is open to record labels or Manitoba-based labels, music publishers, and artist managers. We have the Produce program, which is our recording program. And we have the Produce Out of Province program. So that program is to support bringing in an artist to anywhere in the world to record here in Manitoba. So I'll go into a bit of detail and the funding amounts on each of these in the next 20 or so minutes. So the Indigenous IMPACT program, brand new. This program is open to Indigenous Manitoba-based Indigenous artists who have not received MFM funding before. And this program covers a broad suite of initiatives, pretty much anything you could be wanting to do to boost your career in the music industry. You can apply for funding for here. The application form is actually a quite simple one. This one is based outside of the portal. It's a Google form, which you can find on our website under our music programs. But I'm going to show you guys the application form as soon as I finish the PowerPoint. And this one will cover recording, marketing, content creation, such as making music videos, social media content, and touring and or live concerts. So it covers everything, and the maximum award is $5,000. And the deadline is coming up January 30th. This program also pairs the applicant with a mentor who will assist them in navigating completing the project and advise them on best steps for executing it and connect them further with the music industry. This is an entry-level program for artists who are really kind of getting going in their career. And it's a pilot program. And we're very excited to have it here. So if you have any questions about that program, or if you know anybody that you think might be a good candidate, please do share it as we're trying to spread the word of this new program. So the Produce program, the next is a deadline-based program, just like the Impact one. Its next deadline is January 16th at 5 p.m. And it has various levels to which you can apply. Level 1 demo is a $2,000 award, and that's to go into the studio to work on your music, work with a producer for the first time, flush out arrangements. Usually a shorter application, 3 to 4 pages long. Artists of all levels that are Manitoba based are eligible to apply to this program. Level 1 commercial release is an award of $3,000. And that is to go into the studio to work on any number of tracks. Could be just a single or could be a full album. And the difference between this and the demo is that this will be released. The demo will not be released. Level 2 is an award of $10,000. This is for artists who have begun to establish their career and more professional in their ambitions. And it's an award of up to $10,000 for doing 5 songs or more. Level 3 is for established artists who have had about 1.2 million streams of their previous release, or 750 units. And this is for artists who already have established themselves on a national to international level and would have, say, 3 to 5 of the big team members in place, such as agent, label, manager, etc. So this is a juried program. The Impact program is also juried, by the way. And it has 3 deadlines. The deadlines fall usually May, September, and January. We've already run the previous 2 for our fiscal year. The next deadline is coming right up, January 16th. So just be mindful, all applications have to be in prior to the deadline for them to be eligible. And you cannot make changes after applications are submitted. So these programs, the Produce program will cover all of your recording costs, as well as album completion costs, such as mixing, mastering, design, album photography, and manufacturing. In it, you can claim artist fees for yourself and your fellow musicians, as well as your producer fees, engineer fees, etc. You can also claim some sundry costs, such as studio equipment for documenting the recording, such as a backup hard drive. I'm just going to check out the chat here to see if there's any questions. Looks like we're okay so far. Great. This program has a fairly detailed application form. All our programs follow a really similar format once you get into them. They require submission for this program of demo recordings, so rough recordings of the material that you want to have funded by us. They must be unreleased tracks by you. They can be covers, but they must be unreleased material, meaning if you've already released that song in another version and you want to come in and re-record it and seek funding from us, that wouldn't be eligible. So new recordings for you, but they can be covers, FYI. Okay. Produce Out of Province Artists is a stream open to local studios, engineers, producers, labels, and managers to bring in an artist from anywhere in the world to record here. This program is designed to support the local Manitoba recording industry and help them build their reputation by working with national and international artists. And we do have people applying to this program to bring in artists from all over. We had a person come from the UK once, which I recall, as well as the US to record here. We have many people coming from across Canada to record here in our great studios. And it has three tiers as well: the demo, the level 1 commercial release, and then the level 2. It has the same deadline of January 16th at 5 p.m. So coming up in just under a month. This program, again, the application has to be led by the Manitoba company, and they can, in the portal, add the out-of-province artist as a collaborator. Both the local studio and the collaborating artist need to be registered in the portal for them to be able to submit the application. We'll go into a bit of detail on the Produce program because these applications are usually the most extensive. Generally, we find that once you've written one of these, you're going to be probably pretty good at writing grants to our other two artist-facing streams. As I noted, there's a few items you have to include with the applications. Particularly for Produce, is this list here: demo songs. As I noted, they can't be unreleased. The artist CV or bio. This can be included already in your portal, and it should be in your applicant profile. Resumes of the production staff, so that would just be a little bio on your producer, mixer, etc. We don't need long bios on all the recording staff or musicians, which is typical of arts grants. Short little bios on a musician is fine, or typically I would advise people to just focus on the bios of the production team and not the musicians, unless the musicians coming in to work on your tracks have really notable pedigrees and a long history of recording. You'll have to come up with an estimated budget. So this is something that's universal across the programs. As part of your application process, you're going to paint a picture for us of what you're doing, when you're doing it, and how much it will cost. The budget it should be accurate as possible, but we do allow some flexibility and changes. So it's best to go out and seek the prices of the studios that you want to work with and the team members to get a sense of that. We use a budget template, which is downloaded from our website as well as through the portal, and it'll do all the hard math for you. And you just have to plug in your numbers and it'll run through its formulas and give you your final budget. Typically in MFM programs, we don't fund 100% of all costs, except in the impact program as well as the level 1 demo. We'll fund a percentage of the rest of the program. So your award will be based on your budget, the eligible program cap, and the percentage, whichever comes in to govern us first. And if you have any questions about the maximum awards when you're working on your budget, really happy to take a look at your budget and talk you through it and give you an idea of what you could possibly expect based on your numbers. Letters of support. So it's always good to include a letter of support with an application to the Produce program. Typically I advise you to get 3, but ideally not from people who are working on the project. Ideally from people who are not getting paid to be on to perhaps work on the project with you, but are there as your industry supporter, such as perhaps it's a local music presenter or a national music presenter or an influential person in the music industry from elsewhere, etc. And that can just be a letter stating that they support your work and believe in you, etc. So then the marketing plan. We're not going to go too much detail about marketing plans today, but these are a key element to your applications to all the programs. So your application for Produce will be judged in part on the quality of the music and the songs submitted, and the other part regarding the quality of the rest of the submission, including the marketing plan. So marketing plans can vary based in scope on where you're at in your career and what you want to do. We say for a level 1, your release plan should be regional to national in scope, meaning not just Manitoba focused. We want you to be thinking professionally and having professional ambitions. And so your release plan should be wide as possible in scope. That is, what are you going to do to support the release nationally or internationally? If you have any questions about that, you can always reach out to us or Alex about coming up with a good marketing plan and a good release campaign. Secondly, for like a level 2, we'll probably want to see a release campaign that's national to international scope. So a bit higher, bit wider kind of goals. Level 3, obviously national, international. So higher amounts of money, the more we want to see in the marketing plans. And it should cover all the best practices of the modern day music business. So what video content, social media strategy, digital advertising, digital promotions, what team members are involved, what live dates you're doing, if applicable, and any other innovative marketing initiatives you're covering. So make sure you cover all those categories: video, social media, streaming, digital marketing, live, and anything else that you might have thought up to promote your work. Okay, so those are the synopsis of what you submit for the Produce program. In the budget, you'll see some formulas in there based on donated costs. You're allowed to claim donated costs. Like if you have a friend who's a photographer, and normally they charge $2,000 to do photos, and they only charge you $1,500, you can claim $500 as donated. And there's 2 columns. You just put the $500 in the donated and $1,500 in the cash column in the budget. There's an administrative fee that's tacked on, or a bonus administrative fee, maybe is a better way to describe it, that gets added in when you do your formulas. And that's baked into the grant itself and is there just to allow for some consideration of the time you incur to write the grant. Artist fees are capped at $300 per day. Yes, you can claim your own artist fees for working on your own material, including recording, while on tour, and on video sets. And we'll talk about that in a second. Now note that in-house costs are not eligible, so you can't pay yourself for doing other services other than being a musician on your grant. So if you do graphic design, unfortunately, you can't claim your own time for graphic design. We just let you claim your artist fee as a musician. If you're recording in your own studio, you can do that, but it has to be accredited. All recording has to happen in an accredited studio. We don't let you claim costs if you're recording in your own studio for your own studio costs. For instance, you can't bill yourself $300 to $500 a day for recording at home. We do have some calculations regarding that in our guidelines, and if anybody is doing that and are interested in becoming accredited, I'm happy to walk you through that. On the note of accreditation, yeah, all recordings have to happen in an accredited studio. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to us. Most producers and recording services in Manitoba are accredited that are working in the business regularly. And if you are a studio owner or producer and are not currently accredited, please reach out to us. We can set you up. It's a very simple process. We just need to vet who you are and that you have a track record of production. It's a very, very simple application form. I'm just going to check for questions here because I see a few in the chat. All right, looks like Bonnie's got them. Thank you, Bonnie. Great. So that's a quick note on accreditation and the Produce program. So we're going to go over to the rest of the programs. Promote. So Promote is our one-stop shop marketing and video program. It used to be 2 programs. We used to have a marketing program and we used to have a video program, but we combined them because there's so much overlap. It's really hard to market anything without some kind of video content as part of it. So applications to this program are open to anybody who's Manitoba based with a new release. So new release, aka current release, is a release that's no more than 2 years old. The closer you apply to us to the actual original release date, the higher you'll score, the more money you could probably get from us. So we prefer to come in while recordings are still kind of in the upswing of the marketing campaign rather than the tail end. So marketing can be working with hiring team members such as marketing experts doing streaming promotions, digital advertising, radio campaigns, publicity, and as well as some web design costs, website creation costs, and a plethora. If you open up our budgets, you can get a sense of what's eligible. We kind of have some information in there, but generally everything you're going to do to market your recording is eligible in here, including creating video and general content. So this has a couple tiers to it. If we have funded the recording that you are looking to have marketing support for, the award is $10,000. If MFM hasn't invested in the recording, that is, you haven't received funding through the Produce program, the award is $5,000. It's a rolling deadline, so that means this program is open all year until we run out of funds. Our year opens April 1 and closes March 31. So the closer you get to the end of the year, like our last quarter, which is coming up, we generally have less funds. But that's not always true. Sometimes we do get some extra cash late in the year that we need to get out the door. So if you're ever looking at promote funding and thinking about releasing something and wanting to know if you're eligible, reach out. We'll be happy to advise you. Perform. So Perform is our tour support program. This program is open to all Manitoba artists with an eligible release. It has also 2 funding caps, one for MFM funded artists, so aka people that have received recording funding through the Produce program, and that award is $15,000, and non-MFM is $7,500 per year. It's a rolling deadline. Key thing for both Perform and Promote applications need to be in prior to the initiative starting or expenses being incurred. We do allow some leeway with the Perform program if you have big costs like flights or work visas that need to go out the door right away and you're still working on some details regarding your tour itinerary. Reach out to us. Likely we'll just note that you need some leeway and those expenses possibly could be eligible. Just to backtrack a little, just on the Produce program, there's a little more flexibility on timelines for expenses. We have a month grace period, which means if you had started recording last November 18th, your expenses would be considered eligible because we have a month grace period in advance of the submission of an application. Finally, our last program, this is the Build program. Build is a program that's open to local Manitoba music companies who are working as live presenters, that is people presenting live music who are for profit, artist managers, local publishers, and record labels. It has 2 tiers, an award of $3,000, which is open to music presenters, artist managers, labels, and music publishers who are Manitoba based. And level 2, which is only open to local artists, managers, labels, and music publishers. These are programs designed to support growing the applicant's business and expanding opportunities through investment. Costs such as staff, office rent, any legal accounting costs, all of that, or incorporation costs can all be counted as eligible expenses. The deadline is only happens once per year. It already passed for this fiscal, but the next one will be June. It's usually the 2nd or 3rd Thursday in June. If you are a company looking to apply, reach out to us and we'll help you through the application forms. So generally, that's our programs. I'm just going to check on questions here. Yeah, so the perform annual fiscal year for the annual caps, so your 15,000 or 10,000 and promote for those two programs is based on our fiscal year, so April 1 to March 31. So you have that window of time with that kind of funds over the first 2 years on a recording. Okay, hope that helps. For promote and perform applications, they should also include a marketing plan for how you're going to market the tour dates, or more broadly for promote, market the recording. The build program, I'm just answering a question here regarding the build program being on the website. Depends on which aspect of the website you're looking at. It may not be appearing because the application intake is closed. But if it's not on our new website, there might be an error there, and we need to address that.
No, it's on the website.
Okay,
It's if you just scroll down, there's a list of the programs, and the build one is second from the bottom. So you just
sure,
click on that, and you can see the guidelines, and there's an applicant guide for all of our programs as well.
sure. Yeah, and I'll just recap again. So for the promote program and the perform program, items that you'll need to include are all kind of laid out in the portal. Key piece for the perform program will be your tour dates, and no less than 4 tour dates to be eligible as a tour. Then you'll include your tour itinerary, your budget, as well as the marketing plan for the tour. Generally, once you've written an album marketing plan, you kind of recycle that, just tailor it just have a section on the tour. Or if there's a lot of initiatives you're doing to support the tour, that can be your marketing plan itself. So it's kind of a combo. For the promote program, you're just going to be laying out essentially the broader marketing of your album. And because you're applying for marketing, you're going to probably just address the marketing initiatives that you want to undertake and get funding for. Key thing for the promote program is if you mentioned it in your budget, like you want to have video funding, make sure you have a detail of that in your marketing plan, as well as the video treatment. That all shows up in the portal. So if you ever want to get a sense of those two programs, do write a draft application in the portal, and it should be self-explanatory. I hope that helps. I'm just going to stop sharing screen and switch for a second to the impact program, which just give me a quick second. Just so everybody's familiar, this is the intake. Oops, Bonnie, can you see the Indigenous IMPACT screen now? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the application form for the Indigenous IMPACT program. It's really simple. We just really need some basic information from you. Not dissimilar from the information that goes in through the portal, but to reduce barriers and increase participation from people not familiar with granting systems, we decided to go with a Google form. So basic pieces such as a little detail on what you're looking for the funding for, that's a funny sentence, a link to a current recording, and some basic information on you as well. So a really simple form. And again, if anybody is interested in applying to that program, please reach out to us, where we'd be happy to give you more information. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie for an overview of the application portal.
Yeah. The fun part. Yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay. Can everyone see the homepage here for our portal? Okay, great. I'm seeing some nods. All right, so if you have not yet registered in the portal, you just have to click on the register button down here. And then you have two options. So applicant is for artists and music companies that are applying for their own grants, or for film people, it's also for applying for the film programs. And then the second one is for the grant writers to create their own profile. So the difference is that the grant writers aren't actually going to be the company that's applying. They will have to associate to the artist afterwards. So I'll come back to that. But first, so as the artist, you're going to click on this applicant option first. And you'll see here all the instructions. So if you have applied to our programs in the past, but not yet registered in the portal, we did import all the previous business names from our old system. So you can search for your business name, which could also be the number for anyone who just used the 6 or 7 digit number and that then has Manitoba on the end. That will be in here as well as your company name. So like this one's mine. So you start typing in the name of the organization and it'll pop up here. And you can just click it and it fills it in. And then you just have to complete this contact information section. Um, Let us know if you'd like to sign up for our email list, which is how we send out reminders about upcoming deadlines, invitations to our holiday party, and guideline updates at the beginning of the fiscal, all that kind of stuff. And then just click that you're not a robot and hit submit. And the system will send you an email with a link to activate your account and set your password. And once you do that, you can log in. If you have not applied to us before, then you have to click in this instructions box here. If you can't find the name, click here to create a new profile. So anyone who was not imported from our old system just has to follow this link. And this is where you create a brand new business or applicant name. So if you haven't registered a business with the company's office yet, you can put your name or your stage name or your band name in here and update it after you register your business, and then fill in all this contact info again. Choose if you're applying for music or film, which is very important because your access is different for if you're a music or film applicant. If your contact information for your business is the same as your personal contact, you can actually click this copy address button and it'll fill this part in for you so you don't have to type it again. And then click that you're not a robot again and hit submit. And same thing, the system will send you an email with a link to create your password and get set up in the portal. On the staff side, the MFM side, we have to authorize your user access. So when you first create your password, you actually won't be able to do anything until we have granted you permission to access the system. And then after that is your applicant profile, which I'll just switch to my other browser. So once you're logged in and your user access is granted, then you'll be able to see all of these options for the music programs. And once you have applications, it'll show that you've started some drafts. And if you've submitted applications, they'll be here. And then once they get approved, they'll be over here. And so on. So this is what your home screen will look like. And you have to create or update your applicant profile, which is underneath your initial up here. And then you just choose applicant profile from this drop down. And that's where you can fill in, like this part will be filled in from what you did before. But if you ever needed to update your address or once you register your business, change your business name, you can edit all this stuff and save it anytime. And then you just upload your business registration documents here. We contract with your business name, so that's why we need a copy to see who is on the business registration. In here is where you fill in authorized company contacts. So that would be other band members or your grant writer or your manager, just telling us that you give them permission to be on email communications with us. You can fill in your artist and company bio here, your stage name, your biography, or sorry, discography, and then how many social media followers you have. And we now offer e-payments. So this is obviously fake. Um, yeah, once you're approved for grants, instead of getting a check in the mail, you can opt for e-payments. Um, and then at the bottom, you'll have a submit button and the save button so that you can send the profile back to MFM staff for review. And we'll just make sure that this has all been filled out, and then we'll mark it as completed. And then you'll be able to submit applications. So you just always use the little home button here to go back to the main screen. So in here in the music programs, this is where you'll find everything. So perform program, here's the guidelines you can download that are the same as what's on our website. And then the budget templates are all in here as well in English and in French. And my screen is small, so I have to scroll over, but you can see like this program has the apply now buttons so that you can start your applications. And the reason the build one isn't here is because it's not presently open for applications. So back to start a produce application. So once you save a draft, it will update all your info. So it actually brings over all of your information from your applicant profile. So this is where you can also check, like if you notice that something's not quite right or your address isn't right, you can go back into that profile, update the information, go back into the draft of your application. And when you save draft, it'll actually update your changes. And on this first one, there's just a little checkbox at the bottom that you agree that you're going to abide by the guidelines and that everything you're submitting is owned by you and all the information is true. So then you click over to this project information section and you can choose which level you're applying for. Enter your project title. So that can just be, Bonnie Music Demo 2025, for example. Project overview. So just a brief description of what the project will be. There's a drop down for your genre. There's a table to fill in the people that you're working with on this project. So you can put in yourself, what you're doing, and then sorry, I'm just gonna make this bigger. Woo, there we go. The days of employment are only for the days that you're working on this project, not the whole time you've been an artist or in that band. So just the time that you'll be in the studio recording, for example.
Yeah, I
And
don't see that pop up, by the way, Bonnie. But
oh, it doesn't? Oh,
just
okay.
to say, there's a pop
There's a
up.
pop-up. It's a pop-up table.
A
Sorry.
little table where you put in everybody who's working on the project, a bit on their background, and yeah, and how many days they're going to be working on it.
Yeah. Then here's the info for your team and then document uploads. So your marketing plan, your lyrics and song treatments. So song treatments are what you're going to change in the songs with the funding once you're in the studio. So it could be, adding a guitar solo or updating the chorus, that kind of stuff. Then you can upload the resumes for your team members. So this can be your producer, it can also be your manager, publicist, anyone that you're working with from your team. Past press. So if you have reviews of previous releases or concert reviews or interviews, you can upload them here. And then letters of support. And then down here is the part, all the parts for the recording information. So your production staff, recording schedule, your release date. We use your release date as the deadline for completing the project as well. Um, but the deadline can be changed if anything comes up and you need more time. You just have to send us an email and we can update that. Uh, Uploads for the demo songs and then information about the songs. And then your budget. So there's another spot to download the budget template if you didn't get it from that other page. It's here too. And then you just fill it in and upload it. And then there's just a spot to put the total project budget here. And then if you're applying for other grants, we just ask that you fill in that information. And then your financing plan is just a couple of words about how you'll fund the rest of the project. So if we commit $3,000, for example, to a level 1, but your budget is 5,000, how are you going to cover that other 2,000? So it could be that you're applying for these other grants and that's how you're hoping to cover it, or from your personal savings or whatever. And then you just click on submit. And if there's anything missing, it will give you an error message. So like I haven't filled in anything, so this is going to give me all of the error messages. But you can click on each one of them and it'll take you to the spot that needs to be filled in. Yeah, so that's the application form.
And you won't be able to get to submit it unless your application profile is complete.
Yes.
So make sure that is done. And it's recommended that you probably take this on in a few steps. Get yourself set up in the portal, get your applicant profile built, and then give yourself a few days to do that. Just there's a few fussy bits and pieces of information you need to gather, like your discography and your social media numbers. That could take a little bit. So just trying to get a snapshot of who you are as an artist. And the jury does see your applicant profile in a redacted form. So just be mindful. You want it to be accurate, and you can update it anytime.
Yeah. So that's that part. Now I'll go into the grant writer part and adding collaborators. So if you are a grant writer, you would create your own profile, get your user approved by MFM staff, and then you have to go into this request manager up here in the top and click on new request. And then you find the artist that you want to be associated with and type in their name. I think I'm already associated to myself, but that's okay. Just gonna see. Oh, yeah, it won't work because I'm already. Anyways, yeah, you type in the artist name and then you can send them a request. Stephen, do you have a test company I could?
SC Corp. Not coming up.
It's not coming up. Let's see if we do it this way.
This is also useful for artists who have multiple projects. And you need to create additional applicant profiles. So if you are in one project and you want to start a new project, it's going to have totally different applicant profiles. So different social media numbers, different discography and all that stuff. You can create a new applicant profile using that applicant profile button down there. And you will then also be able to make applications under that profile. And you can switch between organizations using the little building, aka change the building back and forth. And if you have multiple applicant profiles, you'll be able to operate under each of those depending on what the project is. But make sure you write the application under the right profile. That's a common mistake, and that even we were doing it in testing. So you just want to make sure you have it highlighted. And so it's a great service. So again, if you're like a grant writer that is working, just in the system, only writing grants, you come in the way that Bonnie told you off the hop. But if you're an artist first, who maybe wears multiple hats, maybe you do write grants, you're always going to register as an artist first, and then through the request manager, you can work on other people's applicant profiles. There are multiple ways to collaborate in the system. That's one of them. The other way, did you talk about collaborators in any detail yet?
No, I was just going to go back to that.
So the collaborator function is essentially an extension of what I was just discussing, except here you don't have to get control of an applicant profile. Sort of using Request Manager will let you actually start applications for using a new identity or somebody else's applicant profile, if you've been granted permission to do so. Like Bonnie and I are collaborating on a project. She can invite me to actually administer her project, like Lazy Cheetah Band, and start making applications. Or she can invite me to an application she has started using the collaborators function. Collaborators is usually the best way to go. So it allows you to partner on grants with somebody else. Like if you want to invite your artist manager or your grant writer to work on a grant for you, you can invite them this way.
Yeah.
It can
So
be
the
actually anybody in the system you can invite to partner.
Yeah. So when you're in the draft of your application, the collaborators are just on the left here in this blue menu panel. You just click on the plus button and you can add as many collaborators as you would like. Just keep adding people in and you just fill in their name and their email and then save it and click invite and it'll send them an email that they have to accept on their side. And then they'll have access to the applications. And what'll actually happen is they will see the draft of that application in their own profiles.
Yeah, and they'll have the same permissions as you to help you complete the grant. They'll see the same items that come up in the action items, such as your contracts, completion reports. So they'll have the same authority as you to administer that particular grant. They won't see all of your grants. They'll only see that one that you've invited them to be on. So this works really well if you have bandmates who ideally are already affiliated with your profile. But if you have a musician who's working, in multiple bands and maybe they're affiliated with another account, you can invite them to participate in this grant. If you're a band in the system, Bonnie and I can affiliate you directly with your project so that you are an administrator on that unauthorized contact. And there's an option for that during registration. So in that case, if you were a band, somebody's already registered you in the system, you can ask to be affiliated through that registration drop down. That was the first page that Bonnie had showed you.
Yeah.
And that way, when you get there, you'll be able to edit, you as a team can edit the applicant profile, update the discography, and all the things that you kind of need to update on a regular basis, and or start grants, as well as finish them.
Yeah, so to finish a grant, I won't go into it too much, but there is a cost reporting process at the end, and that is located under my action items in this requires attention folder. So this is where you'll see all your cost report stuff that you have to fill in, but this is just more uploads for the spreadsheet with the final costs and your invoices and receipts.
Yeah, so just as sort of an overview of the whole workflow, now that we've kind of got to the end of the noting the cost reporting portion. So for the produce program, the turnaround time for awards is about notifications about awards is about 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. So from the time of deadline to the time for us to complete our juries and give you the information, it's about 4 weeks. For the promote and produce programs, it's pretty fast. Can be 2 to 4 weeks on the outside. So that's our turnaround time for grants. And at the end of the granting process, at the end of the application process, you get, you submit your application, we review it. It either goes to juries or Bonnie and I review it internally. So we'll review your application for eligibility and score it and shoot you out a notice of either being approved or declined in the system. If we work through the jury process, it takes a little longer, so the juries do that heavy lifting for us, and then we will send you a notification if you're approved or declined, and then also how much we're going to give you, and that'll be based on your budget, which we'll vet for eligibility. So sometimes the budgets you submit, we have to edit them down, and because there's ineligible expenses, but we'll give you a copy of that budget in your final report under my action items. So you'll see your final budget, approved budget will be in there. And as part of the cost reporting process, it's a budget. We use the same budget template. If any of you have opened the budget template yet, it has kind of everything in it. It has the preliminary budget and the final reporting. And we'll ask you to fill in your final total numbers You don't have to submit receipts or anything right away, but we'll ask you to put in your final costs, and you're going to upload that back into the portal, as well with a little bit of a synopsis of what happened, what went well, what were your struggles, maybe why costs changed. Doesn't have to, we're not asking for a novel, just a paragraph. And then you'll submit that back to us. And if you're using the recording, if you receive recording funding, you'll have to submit your recording. And that comes through a Disco link, which is a Disco, if you're not familiar with it, it's just an online library. And that will be part of the package. And you just upload your music to that. And that's how we receive your final music. We then, once we've gone through your budget, we'll choose a few expenses to spot audit. So we don't ask for all of your expenses to be presented with receipts and proofs of payment, but we recommend you keep them on file, because when we do our spot audit, we might ask for it. So we just choose a couple of receipts that we want to see the backup for, aka the proof of payment. So don't pay cash ideally. If you have to, it has to be under a certain amount. But ideally something traceable, like your credit card or a bank e-transfer for your payments. And then the receipt. And that will close out the grant. If everything's hunky-dory with all those three or so that we spot audit, that's your grant. We have an art invoice template for you to declare your artist costs. So when you are working on your own project and or you're hiring musicians, we have a template form which we insist you use. And it's really simple. It just has the figures that you've already laid out in your budget, and you have the person sign it. One of my tips is, if you're in the studio working on the project with the folks, get them to sign the document there, print it, or have them e-sign it while you remember, so you don't have to chase them later. It'll make your life a lot easier. Bonnie, do you have any tips, tricks to share?
For cost reports or in general?
In general.
Well, for cost reports, if you get approved, we will have a one-on-one meeting and I'll go through everything with you. In general, for applications, Stephen and I are open to looking over your applications before you submit them and giving you feedback on your marketing plans. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can look at them in draft format. So just shoot us a note saying, hey, I have an application I want to submit. Could you take a quick look at it? You can keep it in draft, and we will take a look and get you any notes we can.
Yeah.
And there are some situations where you have to submit really quickly, but you want to update your information. We will allow that too, so a little flexibility if it's in advance of the deadline. For instance, if you are wanting to start incurring costs for your recording sooner than later, you can put in the application today, let's say, even in rough format, and you can say, oh, we would like to update this with some more additional information at a later point. You can do that up until the deadline. So it's a bit of a nuanced thing. It's just for those people that do want to get the app in quickly because of a timing issue with when their expenses are incurred. It gives you a bit more flexibility. And if you're looking at a situation like that, just reach out to us. We can push the application back to you for revisions, and you can update it with the additional information. But if we ever do that, the application has to be back in prior to the deadline if it's a deadline-based program. And we've had somebody come decline because they submitted we had given them a chance to do revisions and they didn't submit until after the deadline, and we had to decline it. Any questions from anybody here still with us? Thanks for joining us. That's kind of the wrap of our presentation. Oh, I got a new one here. You can. Great. Well, thanks, Austin, for the shout out. Appreciate it. So January 16th is the next deadline for Produce. I know it's the holidays, so maybe spend some time rough drafting your applications, and Bonnie and our office is closed December 23rd through
24th.
Sorry, 24th rather, right? Yeah, I closed the 23rd.
That's right.
The 23rd. And then
Yes.
I will open on the 2nd. Bonnie opens a little later.
Yeah, I come back on the 6th.
Yeah, new to Winnipeg. Yeah, anywhere networking opportunities. Yeah, for sure. Check out Manitoba Music. I think Alex maybe come back online here and should give a shout out to some of your events. I know they have a great conference coming up. Swim. It's going to be great.
Yeah. That's coming up at the end of January. It is going to be going from the 23rd to the 25th. Um, It's partnered up this year with Winterruption too, so you're going to get a chance to check out a lot of the great music happening in Winnipeg in the evenings, and you're going to get a chance to meet some wonderful delegates from out of town, from all over the world, actually. We will be announcing a lot of. There's a few names that have already been announced, but by the end of the week, we should be giving you a full rundown. It's happening at the Forks this year, so that's also going to be a lot of fun. Just a lot bigger of a situation than we've done in the past in a really good way. So I think it's going to be probably if you come to anything that Manitoba Music puts on all year, please start your year right off with Swim. Swim is definitely going to be uh, the one, the trend setter, the pace setter. It's going to be the one that is going to be there to beat. So that's again happening at the end of January. Early bird tickets and passes are available now. There's also an option there as well if there's any financial strains, we can help out with that too. We just really want people out there. So look into that. Check the website, www.manitobamusic.com. My commercial is over.
Let's put a link in, eh? We'll do
Yep.
that. Let's do that. We'll drop that in before we sign off. Cheryl's looking for some networking. You also have your feedback sessions, which run intermittently, which are total
Yep.
just networking. Manitoba Music, Cheryl, great resource for all the networking that you could desire. Good hangouts, good vibes.
Yes. Um, this is literally feedback is probably the easiest way to get in and meet some people. We'll have open mic so feedback happens every month. Open mic happens every month. We have a new music night that happens every month. There's definitely a lot of opportunities to get to meet people, and if you're new to the province, we're really happy to have you, and we'll make sure that we can all put our foot forward, best foot forward, and treat you right, and teach you everything you need to know about the province, and hopefully make some new friends in the process. So, oh, you are a BC film producer and union production PM. Definitely, we should get a chance to meet, hopefully fairly soon. Um, Stephen, Bonnie, thank you so much for doing this. It is, oh, there we go. What is that? Is that like
Those are the devil horns.
the devil horns? Yes.
Yeah, just as I love you, this is the devil. This is
There
for
it is.
metal. This is for metal.
Yeah,
That's that's LV. Just so everybody's clear, Elvis did LV. Heavy metal does. There you go.
there it is.
But you
Um,
can put that in your grant tips too. That's my tip for you, right? Rock and roll tip.
okay. Now we know some things too, some extra things. Go out, give some love and some devil horns to everybody over the holidays, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Um, check out MFM's website if you need any more information on this. Hit me up personally. I have this whole session recorded. I'm happy to share it with everybody, and I really hope to uh, meet everybody again in the New Year's and enjoy your holiday break. All right,
You.
see everybody. This is me stopping the recording.